Hello and welcome to this episode that deals with public relations, its history and its growth in India. I am Gowri Diwaker. I have been working in this area for the last 15 years. Today, we will discuss the following: definition of public relations, PR as a communication function, history of public relations, growth of public relations in India. You may have all come across the term public relations that is commonly referred to as PR. To begin with, let us try to first understand what this term means. Communication is a two-way process wherein messages and information sent are just as important as those that are received. The same applies to public relations. It is all about communicating with others through the spoken word or the written word, or by using a visual or by some other means. Before we move on to the definition of public relations, let us try and understand the terms public and relations. Public refers to a group of similar individuals, an assortment of persons having the same interests, problems, circumstances and goals, and it is from such persons that opinion emerges. Human beings create the need to establish relations with one another. These relationships may be active or passive, good or bad, or even neutral. In any case, the relationship may be accepted, ignored, or altered as desired. A two-way communication process between an organization and its public. Communication with a view to changing the mindsets of the public in a certain direction. We can therefore define public relations as a form of communication used to persuade or influence people using ethical means. It is important to understand that communication here, that is in public relations, is a receiver phenomenon. It is controlled not by the sender but by the receiver, or in other words, the audience or public. Let us consider an example. If a speaker delivers a speech effectively in English and the audience or public do not understand English, no real communication takes place. Therefore, the most important aspect of public relations is to focus on the public, or in other words, the people who will receive the communication. To understand this better, let us consider the following list of products or services and the public who use them. Product or service and the public. For example, college provides services to students. Television is a product which is used by viewers. Radio is a product which is used by its listeners. You will find that the desires, interests and needs of each of the above targets are different. Understanding these differences and communicating in an effective manner is an important skill of public relations. In public relations, an effort is made to win the support of the public by addressing their wants, interests and needs. Let us take the example of the signboards that you see on the roads. This is a simple example of public relations. So, public relations is a multifaceted activity involving different organizations and different sets of people. The first PR consultant was with Moses when he led the Jews out of Egypt to escape the Pharaoh's vicious rule. Thousands of Jews followed Moses as he led the march to freedom in the promised land. When they reached the edge of the Red Sea, with the Pharaoh closely following them, Moses' followers turned to him for help. Moses consoled them by saying that he will part the sea when they can simply walk across. Everyone was awestruck and they hailed Moses as the Messiah. They swore loyalty and praised the Lord. Among them was this public relations consultant who spotted a huge opportunity. He went up to Moses and told him that if he can prove this, he would get him 10 pages in the Old Testament. It has existed in one form or the other. There are umpteen examples of its varied forms, content and end use. An ancient clay tablet found in Iraq told the Sumerian farmers how to grow better crops. That was over 4,000 years ago. The Arabian tales relate how the celebrated Sultan Harun al-Rashid used to wander about every night in disguise to see for himself as to what the people really felt about his administration. There were professional bards who were invited to sing the glory of kings and queens. Likewise, there were people who reported to kings about popular feelings and views. Bhadro is an example of such a character in the Ramayana who used to report to Rama about popular feelings and perceptions. All our religious teachers from Gautama Buddha to Shankaracharya to Nanak and Kabir communicated in a language which the common people found easy to understand. One of the 20th century's foremost public relations men and an outstanding example of a master communicator is that of Mahatma Gandhi. The great Indian Peninsular Railways, for example, carried on a campaign in England in the 20s to attract tourists to India. Within the country, its publicity bureau introduced a travelling cinema which held open-air shows at fairs, festivals and other places. This bureau also undertook extensive advertising in newspapers and journals, besides participating in exhibitions abroad to popularize the Indian railways and tourist traffic. During the First World War, 1914 to 1918, the Government of India set up a central publicity board. This was the first organized PR information setup of the Government of India. It was renamed as Central Bureau of Information, afterwards renamed as Bureau of Public Information, and functioned as a link between the government and the press. One of the items on its agenda was to find out where the action of the government was criticized. In today's parlance, we call it feedback. Public relations is about a century old across the world, though professional public relations services in India began only in the early 1990s. PR as a tool to communicate and win over the people around has been used in different forms from ancient times in India. Although these have changed from time to time, the urge to communicate has always remained foremost. At the time of independence, only a few multinationals had their professional public relations. After independence, it was realized that PR is necessary in order to communicate for development and to create a bridge between the public and the government. Multinational companies operating in India for several years felt the need to communicate with the Indian people more meaningfully. In order to adjust their corporate policies to the democratic milieu, these companies increasingly turned to public relations. Among the Indian giants, the Tatas had already set up a public relations department in Mumbai in 1943, headed by Meenu Masani. Gradually, more organizations appreciated the role of professional PR in the years ahead. The public sector has, however, made a significant contribution to the birth, nurturing, growth and professionalism in public relations. Public relations, in its true sense, started with public sector units, PSUs like HMT, BHEL, Bhilai Steel Plant, followed by NTPC, Indian Oil, VSNL, NHPC, ONGC, to name a few. With multinationals making their entry into India in a big way and even Indian companies exploring opportunities abroad, the future of PR in India is seen to be very bright and gives a new hope for its growth. Did you know that April 21st is a red letter day in the history of Indian public relations? It is because the National Public Relations Day is celebrated on this day all over the country since 1986. The objective behind designating April 21st as National Public Relations Day is to focus attention on the public relations function and public relations professionals in India who have an increasingly important role to play in the development of the country. A specific theme for the day is identified to organize events to highlight the issues selected in the theme. At the apex level, there is the Public Relations Society of India, PRSI, set up in 1958. It is the National Association for Professional Development of Public Relations Practitioners and Communication Specialists. The Public Relations Society of India, PRSI, was established in the year 1958 to promote the recognition of PR as a profession and to formulate and interpret to the public the objectives and potentialities of PR as a strategic management function. It seeks to promote public relations as an integral function of the management. As of now, it operates through 24 regional chapters throughout the country with a membership exceeding 3,000. The members of the society are PR practitioners from multinationals, government, public and private sector, academics and PR consultants. The first All India Public Relations Conference was organized in Delhi on April 21st, 1968. The theme of the conference was Professional Approach. This was a very significant public relations meet in our country when a professional approach was given to public relations, which was a change from the usual publicity besides adopting a code of ethics for the PR profession. In fact, that was the beginning of professional public relations in India. The ASSOCHAM report released in March 2010 showed the growth of the PR industry in India is slated to grow to $6 billion by the end of 2010 with a compound annual growth rate of approximately 32%. The study reports the biggest challenges of the PR industry to be the following: lure of better pay, skilled manpower is scarce, professionals will be poached for higher salaries, leadership crisis, not too many established players presenting a crisis of leadership in middle and smaller firms, which makes people move to larger, more reputed PR agencies. Lack of understanding of PR. Most people do not understand PR. Perception issues. Many stakeholders, including media and corporate organizations, consider PR to be similar to that of a spin job. Public relations has been taught in various institutions for the last decade or so in India. While some PR courses exist in some institutes as a specialization, most courses are combined with journalism or mass communications. Public relations is a management function that has as a goal to persuade and inform various sections of the public on behalf of a client. This often seeks to change a negative image into a neutral image and a neutral image into a positive one. In 1976, public relations pioneer Rex Harlow used a grant to investigate 472 definitions of the field, breaking them into concepts and central ideas. After this research, he came up with this comprehensive definition. Public relations is a distinctive management function which helps establish and maintain mutual lines of communication, understanding, acceptance and cooperation between an organization and the public. It involves the management of problems or issues. It helps the management to keep itself informed on public opinion and respond to it. It defines and emphasizes the responsibility of management to serve the public interest. It helps the management to keep abreast of what is happening around and effectively utilize change, serving as an early warning system to help anticipate trends. It uses research and sound and ethical communication techniques as its principal tools. In 1988, the Public Relations Society of America came up with their own much shorter definition, which reads, "Public relations helps an organization and people around it to adapt mutually to each other." In this definition, the essential public relations functions of research, planning, communications dialogue and evaluation are implied. Key words are organization rather than the limiting implication of company or business, and audience, which recognizes that all organizations have multiple audiences from which they must earn consent and support. In their textbook, Effective Public Relations, Scott Cutlip and Alan Center said, "Public relations is the planned effort to influence public opinion through good character and responsible performance based upon mutually satisfactory two-way communication." This definition stresses the importance of mutual satisfaction in public relations practice as well as two-way communication. Often in the past, PR has been seen as something that is done by a staff at the behest of an itchy or nervous management. The idea that the profession is two-way and is a management function itself is a modern idea and one that has helped advance PR from a thing that is done to a full-blown profession. Let us now understand the different areas of public relations. These are public relations exercises to launch or introduce new products in the market and encourage people to buy them by creating awareness about their existence, by differentiating them from other similar products in the market. This is often done by distributing samples of the product for use by consumers or by offering a discount on the product. Employees are important for any organization. How does the organization earn the goodwill of the employees and uphold its image and reputation among its employees? This is done with the help of communication devices used to improve employer-employee relations. Examples are displaying and appreciating the performance of employees on bulletin boards, providing opportunities for employees and their family members to continue education, public relations is utilized in the political process to earn votes. Public meetings and campaigns are organized to persuade the public for their votes. Posters and hoardings are erected at prominent places to attract the attention of the public. In this form of public relations, banks, business houses and media organizations organize programs to earn the goodwill of the community. Here are some examples: setting up charitable dispensaries, maintaining well-developed parks in residential areas. We can further say that in any public relations activity, the process of communication involves the following three progressive levels. Awareness, the message should reach the public. Acceptance, the public should agree with the message. Action, the public should act or interact accordingly. To understand the above, let us take the example of a television advertisement on a new brand of coffee powder which has been launched in the market. Some of the viewers who are convinced about the quality of the new product take a decision to buy the product and also try it out. We can also further say that public relations is a result of what you do, what you say and what others say about you. For instance, when you are shopping, your attitude towards the salesperson can make the difference between an actual sale happening or not. To take our discussion further, let us also consider the following definition of public relations. Public relations is the planned effort to influence opinion through good character and responsible performance based upon mutually satisfactory two-way communication. From this, we can understand that the process of public relations will involve the following steps. Research, listening. This involves probing the opinions, attitudes and reactions of those concerned with the acts and policies of an organization and then evaluating the inflow. This task also requires determining facts regarding the organization like what's our problem? Planning, decision making. This involves bringing these attitudes, opinions, ideas and reactions to bear on the policies and programs of the organization. It will enable the organization to chart a course in the interests of all concerned. Here's what we can do. Communication, action. This involves explaining and dramatizing the chosen course to all those who may be affected and whose support is essential. Here's what we did and why. Evaluation. This involves evaluating the results of the program and the effectiveness of techniques used. How did we do? We can therefore say that the first phase of public relations process is identifying and listing out the information or message to the communicator. The second phase of public relations process is to ascertain the existing image or awareness level about the issue in the target group or common public. The third phase of public relations is developing of communication objectives and priorities. The fourth phase of public relations deals with developing the message and choosing the media to transmit the message. The fifth phase of public relations is the implementation of the message and media, coordination or the dissemination of message. The sixth phase of public relations is to check whether the message has reached properly and the expected action or behavior or knowledge on image factors. The seventh phase of public relations, in case the message did not reach properly, is the identification of the reason for the ineffectiveness and rectification of the same and dissemination of the revised message. Let us quickly recap what we have discussed today. Understanding the term public relations, products, services and the public, history of public relations, growth of public relations, different areas of public relations, definitions of public relations, process of public relations. That's all for today. I hope you have understood and enjoyed this episode of public relations.